The 2023 Formula One season was filled with intense action. Although Max Verstappen quickly sealed the Drivers' Championship title for the team, other drivers were in a fierce battle for the subsequent positions. And a good proof is the ferocity of some of the lap battles. We're talking about fearless overtakes and calculated moves. For those who missed out on some of these actions, here's a quick recap of some of the best battles in 2024. Number 10. Alonso vs Hamilton at Bahrain. It was the first race of the season and no one knew what to expect. The qualifying race had shown that the Red Bull were as strong as ever, but there were questions of what team would be the major rivals, as Fernando Alonso's Aston Martin had shown great pace. However, things became more evident in the actual race. A few laps into the race, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez had tightly secured the first and second place. So the major battle was for third place. And the two strong contenders were the former teammates Lewis Hamilton and Alonso. Due to the previous rivalry between the two drivers, the battle was a sight to behold. Hamilton had started the race in 7th place, 2 positions behind Alonso, but by the 37th lap of the race, they were both in a tight battle for 5th place. There was a lot of swapping in position in the 37th and 38th lap. It was a battle of who could hold off the other longer, but on the 39th lap, Alonso pulled a calculated move that jolted him ahead. The Aston Martin driver had banked on the trickiness of the 10th turn of the circuit to get ahead of Hamilton for good. He had banked on the fact that Hamilton would lock up his brakes to navigate the tricky corner, and he had chosen the moment to get ahead. After that decisive move, Alonso's path to 3rd place was hassle-free, and that was the end of the battle. Although Hamilton and Alonso were involved in a battle at this next race, it was not as intriguing as Verstappen's race to 1st place. Number 9. The Battle of Belgium. Verstappen had started in 6th place, and he wasn't going to let that stop him from winning another race. A few minutes into the first lap, Verstappen made his way to 4th place. For the next 4 laps, he and Hamilton were in a severe battle for 3rd place. But on the 6th lap, Verstappen eased his way ahead, and Hamilton was shoved to 4th place. As the race continued, Verstappen began his battle with Charles Leclerc for 2nd place. The Ferrari driver who had started in pole position was not ready to let go. You should see the aggressive side-by-side driving portrayed by the two drivers. But Verstappen's rocket vehicle soon gave him an edge. So by the 11th lap, the only thing between him and the lead position was his teammate Sergio. With an equally amazing car, Perez was bent on not letting Verstappen get ahead. The aggressiveness of the two drivers' tackle and defense moves would have the audience questioning if they were teammates. But Verstappen soon pulled off his magic moves, and Perez was pushed back to 2nd place. And the Dutch driver was able to cross the checkered line first. But in this next race, Perez defended his position with all his might. Number 8. Battle of the Red Bulls, Saudi Arabia GP. The Saudi Arabia GP was the 2nd race of the season, and the two Red Bull drivers were still in a battle for the Drivers' Championship title. The race had started with Verstappen qualifying at 15th due to a driveshaft problem, but Perez had earned a pole position. In the Dutch driver's usual style, he had crushed everyone on his path to get to 2nd place, right behind Perez. Perez, who initially lost the lead position to Alonso at the beginning of the race, took no chances with Verstappen. He knew his teammate could be quite aggressive when in a desperate situation, but he was ready to fight till the finish. The Red Bull drivers were at each other's heels from the 30th lap. Although Verstappen was able to close the gap and earn the points for the fastest lap, the Mexican driver was able to hold him off till he crossed the checkered flag. Number 7. Mexico drama, the race for 2nd place. The Mexico Grand Prix witnessed several lap battles involving different drivers. The very first one was Verstappen's attempt to get ahead of the two Ferrari drivers. The Ferrari drivers had earned a 1-2 position during qualifying, and they were hoping to maintain it. But not on Verstappen's watch. On the very first lap, the Red Bull driver dived between the two cars before getting the inside line into the first corner. They tried to block him off, but who can stop a charging bull? The next battle was that of Perez trying to follow in his teammates' footsteps of getting ahead of the Ferraris. Unfortunately, the two cars refused to give him room in the insides of the first corner. And since it was a narrow road, his adamant attempt to get ahead resulted in his vehicle getting spun off the track after a collision with a Ferrari. The Ferrari had gone off unscathed, but Perez was not as lucky, and that was the end of his race. But the most intriguing battle was that of Hamilton and Charles Leclerc for 2nd place. Hamilton, who had started 6th, was soon ahead of Ricciardo to take 4th. The battle with the Ferrari began after the race was restarted on the 36th lap. The two Ferraris had been ahead, but Verstappen soon returned to the lead, and Hamilton got in 3rd place. Leclerc, who was in second place at the time, tried to hold off Hamilton, but on the first corner of the 40th lap, Hamilton made a daring move that got him ahead of Leclerc, and the Mercedes didn't let the Ferrari through till the end of the race. Number 6. United States GP debacle. Although a memorable battle at the United States GP in Austin was the one between Hamilton and Verstappen during the final laps of the race, we'll focus on the struggle for second place between Hamilton and Lando Norris. After his second pit stop, many predicted that Hamilton would finish in 4th place because of the sudden switch in strategy, but the Mercedes driver pulled off a huge fight and performed one of the best overtakes of the race. On lap 49, Hamilton was in 3rd place with Lando Norris just ahead of him, but not for long. As they approached the corner, Hamilton squeezed to the inside of Norris, but he swiftly switched back, took a faster line through the apex, and completely moved ahead on the run down to turn 2. There was no way Norris would block such an incredible move. Number 5. Battle at Monza. At Monza, the Ferrari drivers put up an incredible show for their fans at their home Italian Grand Prix. The wheel-to-wheel battle for podium in the final laps of the race left the team and fans with hearts in their mouths. Carlos Sainz, who had started at pole position, was ahead of Leclerc for a major part of the race, but the final 5 laps had both drivers on each other's heels, with the Monegasque in the lead. Leclerc had gotten the edge because Sainz had spent a major part of his race fighting off the 2 Red Bull vehicles and was already exhausted. But never one to back down from a fight, Sainz fought his way back to 3rd place by attacking and defending as much as he could. And on the final lap, the Spaniard was able to cross the line just 0.184 seconds ahead of Leclerc. It was a refreshing battle. Number 4. The Las Vegas Show. The race in Sin City was filled with thrills and exciting action, and one that stood out was the battle between Leclerc and the Red Bulls. Leclerc had started at pole position and was determined to convert it to a finish, but Verstappen didn't allow it. In the first lap, Verstappen had tried to get ahead of him with a daring move, but that resulted in a penalty for the Red Bull driver, and Leclerc got back in the lead. The Ferrari driver remained in the lead, but lost it on lap 33, when Perez suddenly appeared and yanked the win from him. In the subsequent laps, Perez and Leclerc exchanged their places in an intense battle, but Verstappen soon came out of nowhere to take the lead, and the 2 men were left to fight for second place. Perez was well on his way to finishing second when Leclerc pulled off an astonishing overtake on the final lap. The Mexican was not able to defend himself because he had not seen it coming. It was such a glorious moment for the Ferrari. Number 3. The last race. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Despite the Drivers' Championship title and the Constructors' title being sealed, the final race was not without its drama because the 2 F1 giants, Ferrari and Mercedes, were in a battle for second place on the Constructors' table. In the race, Leclerc started 2nd and Russell 4th, while Hamilton was 11th on the grid and Sainz 16th. Their mixed-up positions made it harder to determine who would take the lead. In the beginning, Russell dropped to 5th place after being overtaken by Norris, but on lap 11, he was back to his position, getting ahead of Oscar Piastri, who had pushed him further down. After a few laps of intense battle with Norris, he overtook him to get 3rd place right behind of Charles Leclerc. Now this is where things got intriguing. With Russell hot on his heels, Leclerc risked the chance of losing his 2nd place, but a few seconds of luck appeared when Perez got in between the 2 drivers. Unfortunately, the Red Bull driver crashed into Norris and Russell was able to return to 3rd place. Although Leclerc finished in 2nd place, it wasn't enough to defeat the Mercedes team on the Constructors' table, because Hamilton finished way ahead of Sainz. Number 2. Mercedes brings in the heat at Suzuka. The race at Suzuka was memorable because it witnessed an intense battle between the 2 Mercedes drivers. On the first lap of the race, Russell got past Hamilton at the final corner to take 7th place, but Hamilton reclaimed the position at turn 1 after a fierce wheel-to-wheel. On lap 16, the pair battled again after Hamilton unconsciously made room for Russell when he went wide at Degner 2. The 2 drivers remained side by side through Spoon Corner, and it got really aggressive afterward. This back and forth continued until Russell's one-stop strategy had him sacrificing his 5th place to his teammate. The rivalry between the 2 drivers took a while to cool off even after the race. Number 1. Singapore GP, a fight to the finish. The battle at Singapore was the battle of battles because it was the first time the Red Bull's rocket was not at its strongest. It all started at qualifying, when Carlos earned pole position at qualifying. The Ferrari driver had fought with all his might to restrain the desperate Mercedes team, who were ready to yank the first place from him since they didn't have to worry about Verstappen for the first time in a long time. The race saw Sainz, Norris, Russell, Leclerc and Hamilton exchange their positions constantly. But with 10 laps to go, the Mercedes drivers got ahead of Leclerc to be right behind Norris and Sainz. With 3 laps left, Russell attempted to overtake Norris, but Sainz helped out by allowing Norris to close back within DRS range. On the final lap, Russell attempted another attack on Norris and it ended with him crashing into the wall at turn 10. So Hamilton got an opportunity to finish in 3rd place behind Norris and Sainz. So which of these lap battles did you enjoy? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.